What's up, y'all? How you doing? We're gonna be talking about Godzilla, Hobbs and Shaw. This is the JB&I Show, and I am Isaac, the Fire Hawk Middleton. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the JB&I Show. You know what I'm saying? First, let's start off with our honorable mentions for everybody who's celebrating a birthday this month of August. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful and blessed and excellent birthday, all right? And you can celebrate your birthday the entire week or the entire month. It depends on you. It's your decision. Today, JB&I Show is brought to you by WhenItWasCool.com. WhenItWasCool.com is a retro pop culture themed website and podcast network covering retro TV, movies, classic rock, heavy metal, pro wrestling, comic books, toys, action figures, and the old school lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of fun. It's family friendly. Say that really fast. When you go to whenitwascool.com, make sure you click on that Patreon button so you can get instant access to almost 1,000 premium podcasts and more. That is whenitwascool.com. So check them out. And we're going to start it off with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you haven't heard of Godzilla, where you been? Where have you been? You know what I'm saying? Toho Films, when Godzilla first came back, that was a 2014 rendition series of this. And then you have King Kong Skull Island. It's all tied in. And yes, there's going to be a King Kong versus Godzilla in 2020, but we're going to get to that discussion here in a little bit. Before that, we're going to talk about King Ghidorah, Rodan, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't know, Godzilla Films has been the longest running cultural icons for its monster films, all right? Who doesn't like to see big, strong monsters battling it out? Let's get ready to, duke it out. So, in case you didn't know, King Ghidorah was known as Monster Zero. So Monster Zero is King Ghidorah, and this name was given to him in the 1956 movie where he was known as Monster Zero and called by the aliens that supposedly created him and was trying to take over Earth and all that stuff like that. All right. Now, in the movie itself, you would see the pocket watch. The pocket watch stopped at, I believe it was 8:15. This is significant because this is where the atomic bomb was dropped on is a acclamation created to be a cautionary tale of the dangers of nuclear energy. So that's what the original Godzilla was, created to depict. And Rodan was, Godzilla would be like more the threat, not threat, but nuclear threat. And Rodan would be like the USSR. So each monster have their was it the core thing that they were derived from, or the fear, the depiction. So Definitely interesting. There's a ton of references to the Toho films. There's a ton of tributes, you know, to the classic Toho films. They just saluting and showing their respects. What I thought was interesting, there's in the old films there's a Doctor Shirazawa, um, as well as in obviously in the new film if you've seen it. In the original one, Dr. Shiwazawa was here to protect Earth from Godzilla. In the new series, he sees Godzilla as more of a benevolent creature that, can work side by side with humans. So that's an interesting change. But they both died, and they both died pretty much the same way. One blew up the bomb to basically end the movie and save humanity. The other one did it to bring Godzilla back to uh, save the planet and save humanity. So yeah, it was interesting to see how the way that they put it together. Now, when they found Godzilla, I'm fast forwarding through the movie. I'm not going to talk about every little detail because I don't want to spoil it for you. Uh, but what I will say, if you haven't seen the movie, definitely see it. And if hopefully I haven't spoiled it because I forgot to say spoiler alert. So in the movie, they find an underwater city after they drop the air displacement bomb, I guess. I forgot what they call it in the movie, but basically that's what it did, and it only affected Godzilla. It didn't affect King Ghidorah. That actually gave King Ghidorah the right, or he ruled for a while because Godzilla was down for the count. They really thought that Godzilla was dead until Mothra came into play and basically was talking to Godzilla, and Godzilla was responding, even though it was his response was weak. And that's how they figured out he was still alive. And they found him in an underground city. Some believe that it was Seatopia from the 1973 film, the Toho film. It may have been. And other people believe that it was like Atlantis, and other people, making other claims as well. Regardless of that, they showed it and proved that the ancient humans worked, or what worked, but lived coincide with these Titans, as the movie called them. It called them Titans, and they basically worshiped these Titans and built these caverns and stuff like that to to their gods, I guess. And that's where they found Godzilla resting at. And Dr. Tori Shizawa went there, blew up the bomb, gave Godzilla energy boost. Godzilla came up and kicked butt, you know what I'm saying? But in the, if you go, I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit. In Outpost 32, where King Ghidorah was, they call him Monster Zero. That if you watch a movie, it's a horror monster movie, and it talks about Outpost 31, same location, not far as the Arctic. Outpost 31, if you hadn't picked up on that, that came from The Thing, where they found what they thought was a dead alien, and it was alive, all of it. It basically every item on it was alive. The blood was alive, everything, and that was Outpost 31. And then in the movie, it talks about Outpost 32, which is where King Ghidorah was. All right, and there's like references like that throughout the entire thing. Mothra, Rodan, which is Outpost 56 from 1956. Now, a lot of people sleep on Mothra. Mothra is not as powerful as Godzilla, but Mothra is pretty much, I won't say immortal because they do kill her, but she always find a way to come back. They always find like another larvae, another egg or something like that. But in conjunction with that, she took all a blast from all three heads of King Ghidorah to protect Godzilla when he was down. And I was like, yeah, she tough. You know what I'm saying? And I was kind of upset with Rodan. Rodan fought King Ghidorah for a little bit, and I guess he got his butt kicked, and then so he just kind of switched up to whoever was the alpha male at the time. So when but he did fought against Mothra, and Mothra won. Mothra kicked Rodan's butt. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was cool. I was like, get him, Mothra, get him! Get him, Mothra! You know. Now, at the end, Godzilla proved his dominance by destroying King Ghidorah, using his nuclear pulse blast. It was like at the critical stage of basically pretty much meltdown, Now, in that, that's also a reference back to a previous movie as well, Toho film. But what I'm interested in is the next segment, Godzilla versus King Kong. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's my fears. My fear is that Godzilla is going to kill King Kong. That's my fear. Because, Godzilla has a lot of weapons. Godzilla has, the atomic breath and the nuclear pulse and of course teeth and claws, Now, don't get me wrong. King Kong has his fair share of weapons too because he's agile, he's smart, and he basically can use his environment to his advantage. However, what happens, it depends on where they fight at, and how big King Kong has gotten, because the earlier rendition, I guess it was played back in from the 60s because they had the Huey helicopters and stuff, so that was like 60s. And how big has he gotten since then? Now, he was big, but Godzilla is way bigger than King Kong. So King Kong had to get some size on him, Now, don't get me wrong. I know he still won't be as big as Godzilla, but he have to be bigger than he was when Skull Island played. You know what I mean? Now, in retrospect, there is a possibility that both King Kong and Godzilla may team up against a third foe that is undisclosed at the time, which a lot of movies do. Now, my hypothesis in this, or my theory is, because at the end of Godzilla, the general, he found the head and he bought it and stuff like that, he might be able to rejuvenate King Ghidorah or make it into Mecha King Ghidorah, like, the former Toho film. And then the Mecha King Ghidorah go and fight Godzilla and get help from King Kong. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? But we won't know until 2020. But I'm just saying, that's just something to think about. Now, one of the other things that was proven in the Godzilla movie that just came out, Godzilla King of the Monsters, is the Hollow Earth theory. They've been talking about it since Skull Island. They talked about it and stuff, but it was proven in the King of the Monsters that when they found Godzilla, that it is Hollow Earth in this monster universe, and that's how pretty much how the monsters got around and why we people, air quotes, had not seen it yet. Okay? So, yes, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. If you hadn't seen it, see it. If you love monster fights, I think it was very well done. The graphics and everything was really, really well done. I think you will really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to 2020 for Godzilla versus King Kong. Now, a lot of people saying that, Godzilla versus King Kong has to do well because Godzilla King of the Monsters did not do well. I thought it did good. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Now let's move on to our next segment, which is pretty much our last one for this inclusion right here on the JB&I show, and that's Hobbs and Shaw. I believe it just came out August 2nd, 2019. So I'm not gonna go into any specific detail too much, but I will say spoiler alert. So if I do say something by accident, blame it on the mind and not the heart. All right. So Brixton Lure, basically Hobbs and Shaw have to defeat the villain. In this case is Brixton Lure, who is played by Idris Elba, and he calls himself Black Superman. I love that part. That was totally funny. But it's basically they put together a human enhancement. They basically enhance his body, so he has pretty much superhuman abilities, toughness, durability, and strength. So it's like a superhero readout. You know what I mean? And so I can even say that if you watch it, you'll see what I'm saying. It could easily be Hobbs, Shaw, and Hattie, which is Shaw's estranged sister. And I think that you guys would definitely appreciate it. I'm trying my best not to say any spoilers. Will appreciate the Fast and Furious spinoff. It was really well done and very well delivered, and they put in the cultural aspect of Hawaii in that. I really love that. That is totally awesome. It's action packed, which is what you expect from a Fast and Furious film. I mean, you know what I'm saying, for real. And so, with that being said, and I'm doing my best, trying not to cover any spoilers. Definitely check it out. If you hadn't, check it out. It's worth watching. All right, and just know that it's an action film, and expect that it's going to be always, Hobbs and Shaw. If you're looking for Hobbs and Shaw to have that, competition level type of a thing, is worth seeing. If you're looking to see Hattie do it up, you know what I'm saying, it's in there, you know what I mean? So she's holding her own in this movie, all right? It's not like she's a damsel in distress type of a thing. Nah. All right, so that is the show for the JB&I show for this segment. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your support. And back to our sponsor, which is whenitwascool.com. Whenitwascool.com. Thank you for tuning in to the JB&I show. I'm your host, the Fire Hunk. All right, y'all. Until next time.